Hi, I'm Hannah Storman, and in this video I'm going to talk about what a constitutional county resolution is and why we should want to pass one in our counties. And I'll address the why first. I think that many of us realize we have a problem. I think many of us have looked around over the past 2 years and just shook our heads and thought, how have we gotten here? If you're like me, you pretty much took for granted that we in America had a pretty free country, and that we had certain rights that weren't going to be violated. In fact, I never really thought much about them at all, but I certainly didn't worry about them being violated. And I think so many of us have been caught off guard as to how quickly those rights have essentially just been erased. And I think that we've come to the realization, or at least I've come to the realization, that we really haven't had truly representative government by and for the people in a very long time. And I think that most of us just haven't realized it. And one of the reasons why, as I've dug through this mess and tried to figure out how this could happen in America, is that we effectively do not have local governments. And that may come as a surprise to some of us, and it certainly did to me, but really when I stop and think about it, it shouldn't come as a surprise, because I actually, before maybe a couple months ago, I didn't even know who my local elected officials were. I didn't know who my county legislators were. Actually, I didn't even know that I don't have a county executive. We have a board of supervisors in my county. And I certainly have never voted for anybody in my county. So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised that our local governments have been quietly and carefully taken over by the state for many years. And that, of course, was done in the oldest and simplest way, which is through money. At the moment, really, our local governments are simply just enforcement outposts of the state. And in New York State, our state is really just an enforcement arm of the federal government. So we effectively do not have local governments. And I think many of us realized that over the past 2 years when we came together with our friends and our families, and we realized that something was wrong, and we did what all good Americans do. We started at our local level and we looked to try to change it. And we said, hey, we have the majority of people in our community don't want this and are against this. We think it's wrong. We think it's a violation of our rights. And what happened was the same thing at every level, from the Board of Education to the county executives. They said, we don't have jurisdiction over this. This is the state's job. Go talk to the state. And it's at that point I realized that we have a serious, serious problem. We do not have local governments. And I think that has to be our first step to comprehensively fixing this problem. If the founding fathers had wanted the situation to be as it is today, then when they framed the Constitution, they may as well have just eliminated state and local governments, which, as we all know, were the original governments that came together to form the Constitution. So if they had wanted what we have currently, they would have said, let's just get rid of all the other local existing governments from the state, county, municipal level, and we'll just make a federal government, and they'll take care of everything. Because currently, that's essentially what we have. So it's a big problem. It's not something that we can change overnight, but it's the crux of the problem in my mind. And we have to focus on it. And we have to start at the grassroots level. We have all heard government from the ground up, but I don't know if we have realized just how important that is. Frankly, there is no representative government unless it's local government, because a faraway government that you are just one of millions and millions of constituents, that's not a truly representative government. And our founders recognized that. That's why they created our beautiful system of from the ground up government, where it starts with the individual, our liberties, and then we come together to make local governments where we are responsible for our local area, and we have the right then to direct it as we wish. And we take care of as many problems on the local level as possible before it goes up to the next level, and then the next level. And that is how it was created. That is how it has worked so well for so many years. Unfortunately, what's happened is that has been completely inverted, completely upside down, so that we now are governed by edict rather than us governing, and those who we elect governing by our consent. So that brings me to the point of the video. How do we fix this? And I certainly cannot say that I have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. But I do believe that we have to start by reclaiming local governments. And a constitutional county resolution is a first step in that direction. And I have to give a lot of credit to Brenda Hansen in Cattaraugus County. She came up with this concept, and she went to her legislature in the summer of last year And she worked with one of the legislators, Ginger Schroeder, who was a lawyer, to craft this beautiful resolution. And you can read it, and I encourage you to read it. And what it does, it essentially makes the mission statement of the county upholding the Constitution and securing the rights of the citizens. And it does it in a public way, and it does it in a unifying way. So the minute I saw this, I absolutely loved the concept. I didn't know Brenda or Ginger, and I just knew it was the right step in the right direction. And I love it because in my mind, it does three different things, three very, very important things. First of all, it defines the problem and the solution. So obviously the problem is that we are no longer following the Constitution. And the solution, of course, is to go back to the beautiful system that was created to ensure our liberties and our rights that are not violated. So it does this in a way that is public and it is easy to understand. And some have said, well, our local officials, well, all our elected officials already swear an oath to the Constitution when they're elected. How is this different? Well, I would argue that it's certainly not being followed. And for that reason, I don't think what an oath to the Constitution means is very well understood by our legislators or really any of us. And as well-meaning as a legislator or local elected official would be, I don't believe it's well understood. So it's well worth defining publicly so that all of us understand what our rights are and we can stand on them with confidence and encourage each other. And secondly, I think what it does is it brings us all together. And when I say us, I mean we the people, the legislators, and the sheriffs. And you may be surprised who is willing to stand up for the Constitution. It gives everyone an opportunity who is willing to do that, who loves freedom, loves this country, to do that in a public way. And for those who will not do that, for those who are in elected offices specifically, it's an important barometer. It shows us who is on our side and who is not on our side, and who is, more importantly, on the side of the Constitution or not. And obviously that gives us the information we need in order to know who needs to be voted out. And we need to be willing to run good candidates to replace them. So it starts that process. And then the third thing I believe it does, and the most important thing, is it sets us up for the next step, kind of the rubber meets the road type step. And this is the hardest step. And it is going to take all of us. And what that is called nullification. And that's a constitutional concept. What it means is from the state level to the county level to the individual level, not recognizing a mandate, edict, or law that is in violation of the Constitution or in violation of our natural rights, which the Constitution protects. So that's what people mean when they say, do not comply. It is a principled thing, and I know so many of us have been doing exactly that. We have not been complying, but we, especially those of us who have been doing it on our own with no one else, standing shoulder to shoulder with us, know that it's very difficult to not comply on your own, but more importantly, it's also not as effective. That in order to really make it count, standing, claiming our natural rights, in order for that to really make a difference, we need to do it in a unified and comprehensive way. And this sets us up for that next step, which again is not an easy step, but if we can not comply in a principled way, stand up for what we know is right, with our legislators and our sheriff backing us up, with as many people in our county as possible, then we make a much, much stronger statement, and we are on the path to actually change something. And if we can get, say, neighboring counties to all pass a resolution and go down this path, right now we're working on Shenango, my county, Broome, and Tioga, our neighboring counties, then it makes all of us stronger and more unified to take a stand against what we all know is not right. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you share it. The next step is to share it with as many people as possible, get as many people on board as possible with this. We want to get as many signatures as possible, but it's not just about signatures, it's about really coming together and forming this movement and being a part of this for the long haul, because this is about not just reclaiming, but also rebuilding our local governments. And on the practical note, once you get a few hundred signatures and have gained steam in your county, the next step is to talk to your county legislators and your sheriffs and go from there and bring them on board. Send them to the website. There's a page for sheriffs and there's a page for county legislators to educate them on exactly what this means. So bring them on board. We are not against them. We are doing this together as citizens of the great United States of America and people who love freedom and love what our country stands for. Thank you so much for watching.